this and that and what the fuck else, episode 113. In this episode I'm going to talk about the pestilence of the Donbass and energy. And the reality is that things are crumbling and crashing around us. But the MSM narrative is far removed from reality. It seems to me that people have become so accustomed to being lied to that they are now living the lies as their reality, and it is by choice. I did mention in one of my Skidmarks, I asked the question, what if that jab contained some shit that makes it impossible for you, if you have received the thing, to differ from the narrative? What if? Think about that. We hear every day more and more scary stories about the ingredients that were injected into billions of people. Just think about that. And the World Economic Front has made no secret about their plans for the future. And one of their plans is 6.5 billion people must be removed from the earth. The useless eaters, as they say. And then it is also a fact that there is no, in the future plans, there's no room for white people. Think about that. I don't know how this is going to end, and I don't know who or what is going to stop this shit. I'm unfortunately an old guy. But there's a total onslaught against humanity with a specific focus on white people, and it seems to me that the broad population is just swallowing it. Here in our country, the IQ 30% passers are promoting the WEF agenda by driving the racist stories, but they are totally unaware of the fact that they are in the grouping of useless eaters. So they don't have a future. And I have seen now that New York State has signed some law into practice that allows humans to be composted. So the useless eaters will most probably be compost. But let's see where it goes. We start off with the pestilence. Breaking. Dying suddenly from a heart attack is totally normal and can be caused by climate change, artificial sweeteners, the soil, shoveling snow, solar storms, and even increases in your energy bill. No need to ask questions about the issues. Lots of causes and totally normal. And here is a collection of headlines on that topic. Look at it and be worried. Green fingers. Urgent warning. Gardeners as soil increases the risk of a killer heart disease. New scientists. Solar storms may cause up to 5,500 heart-related deaths in a given year. Energy bill prices may cause heart attacks and strokes, said TVGP. Climate change, heat waves affect heart health. And it just goes on and on. And then this is a topic that I have discussed previously. And here it is again about Trudeau. Trudeau's net worth in 2020 was $10 million. Now at the end of 2022, it is $385 million. He makes $351,000 as PM. Where are his tax returns? A very valid question, and then there's a reminder from Harry Truman. Show me a man that gets rich by being a politician, and I'll show you a crook. And how true is that? We see that in South Africa. And then we get to this. Recap. They knew about fragments and LMP impurities in the jabs and did nothing. They used a higher concentration on people after the clinical trials without testing. And they never tested the freeze-thaw process on the LMP, and I'll say it, because they just aren't smart enough. That is scary. It is poison. And then there was this article in the expose. You can stop the thing if you want to read more. Scientists worldwide claim all Pestilence jabs contain nanotechnology and graphene oxide. Now, if you want to know more about the danger of what he is talking about, you should go and Google graphene oxide. Your hair will stand up straight. And then we get to the Donbass and in Odessa. In Odessa, local authorities began to dismantle the monument to Catherine II, who established the port city in 1794. It's not the first time this monument, built in 1900, is dismantled. It was done in 1920 by the Soviets, but in 2007 it was restored again. God loves Trinity, the Russians say. Let's see if the Russians is going to rebuild it the third time. And here's some more images of how that impressive statue was broken down. And this is barbaric actions, just pure barbarism, nothing else. And then there's this from General Surovikin, or General Armageddon, as the Western presses baptized him, and I laughed. Sergei Surovikin explained today's strikes on Ukraine as a New Year's miracle. Yesterday we ran out of missiles. I read it myself in the news, and today they appeared again. It is a real New Year's miracle. You have to smile. But the Russians, they've got a very good sense of humor. And then you have this. The medical center in Donetsk cares for premature babies. Some weigh as little as 500 grams. Without special equipment, they have almost no chance of survival. That is why the first thing the medics do in case of shelling is to take the equipment out, and the women in labor are lowered underground into the shelters. Guys, this is what's been happening for 8 years in the Donbass. This is what the West is financing, but this is also what the West denies is happening. And this is what the Russians are. And then we've got this, and you need to listen carefully. According to the well-known Russian military volunteer and blogger Tatarsky, the AFU has deployed 27 brigades to the defense of Bahkmut. This is around 100,000 soldiers, almost double the pre-war population of the city. Keep in mind, these 27 brigades likely don't include irregular fighting units such as Polish and American PMCs fighting alongside the Ukrainian army. Needless to say, Bahkmut won't be captured by the Russians anytime soon. There's been a series of tirades on the mainstream media about the importance of Bahkmut as a political symbol rather than a location of actual military importance. And so the AFU must now fight tooth and nail for it in order to maintain the Ukraine is winning the war narrative. Of course, this means that losses of the AFU near Bahkmut will continue to grow until there is eventually no more manpower to throw into the meat grinder. This seems to be where events on the ground are headed towards. And it is absolutely scary. The things that I see on the Telegram channels, the videos of what is going on in Bahkmut, it is absolutely horrendous. But that fucking Zelensky keeps on throwing people into that thing. And I have seen reports of soldiers Ukrainian soldiers that surrendered. It's old men, past their 60s, and young guys. If I look at them, they don't look 18 to me. But that is what Zelensky is pushing in. And then we get to the energy thing, and there's been many stories about the energy, and it looks like this American that is now all of a sudden all over our South African social pages. That guy is not so 100% kosher. European traders are evading sanctions with fake paperwork claiming Russian Belarusian firewood is from Kazakhstan or Kyrgyzstan. France issues vouchers for firewood to help families cope. Bulgarians stock up on firewood due to less coal received from the Donbass and Russia. Fears rise in Germany over firewood theft. Demand for firewood soars in Austria, 40% increase in wood-burning stove sales in the UK. On the Swedish marketplace site Blocket, the word firewood became the most searched term on site. Firewood, wood pellets, prices and demand drastically increase in Sweden, Estonia, Belgium, UK, Germany. Google searches for firewood skyrockets. Centuries-old forests in the Gurgeu Mountains in Romania are being exploited for firewood as demand soars. What the fuck is that? This is 2022, and I want to reiterate. All of this shit was orchestrated by America, the newcons in the shithouse, and their puppets in Brussels. Russia did not sanction anything. Russia kept on supplying oil and gas to Europe. No, not one moment did they interrupt the supplies. The only thing Russia said was pay in rubles. And there was a perfect good reason for that, because if they get paid in dollars or euros, the European authorities steal that money. That's what they do. So Putin said rubles or no gas. But the energy crisis in Europe was self-inflicted, and the results and the disaster for the population is 100% on the Americans and Brussels. But do they care a bit? Fuck all. The European citizens will have to take their countries and by definition their lives back, or they are going to die out. That is what's going to happen to them. When we get to the South African energy scene, Eskom is now fully in the hands of criminal syndicates. So say its outgoing CEO Andre de Ruyter. And this is all happening under the watchful eyes of the renowned corruption busters and media darlings Pravin Gordhan and Cyril Ramaphosa. I am in a state of shock, says Vusi. This is really unbelievable that criminals managed to hijack Eskom. We were talking about state capture. This is not capture, this is hijacking. And then Vusi continues. And whoever will be caught doing any wrongdoing in these projects get to experience the wrath of China's unforgiving law enforcement agencies. Bribery, looting, corruption, racketeering, money laundering is a death sentence, even if you have tons of struggle credentials. And that was based on a post that appeared in the People Daily, China's state-affiliated media. China's energy development in 2022 in numbers according to the NEA. 200 million tons of crude oil production, 21 billion tons of natural gas production, 120 million kilowatts of newly installed wind and solar power generation. That is China. And then we get this, I have spoken about it previously. 6-hour queues show the painful reality of owning a Tesla at Christmas. A number of Tesla owners across the UK were left queuing for hours to charge their electric vehicles over the Christmas period. Another nail in the coffin. 6-hour queue shows painful reality of owning a Tesla at Christmas. I wouldn't just single out Tesla, it's all electric vehicles. And then there's this. I was absolutely stunned when I saw it. I didn't even know that this was an issue. The Department of Mineral Resources and Energy has rejected Eskom's application for a diesel wholesale license. And then says this guy, well, I guess government does not like to cut out the middleman, so someone's pockets can continue to be lined. This is really, this is ridiculous. That's Eskom. doesn't have a wholesale license and is forced to buy basically at the pump. That is fucking bullshit. That must stop. And then there's more about the energy, and this is a fairly lengthy story, and you should listen carefully to what the hell is actually going on. Germany sticks to pledge on Russian pipeline oil imports. Germany stopped imports of Russian oil via pipelines on January 1, despite the fact that the latest EU embargo exempts pipe deliveries of crude to the bloc from sanctioned nation. The EU embargo on imports of Russian seaborne oil came into effect on December 5, but flows of pipeline oil to landlocked EU member states are excluded from the ban. Germany and Poland had previously pledged to avoid making use of the exception and stop imports of Russian crude via the Druzhba pipeline from the start of 2023. The cessation of pipeline supplies is expected to affect major German refineries in Schwedt, in the state of Brandenburg and Leuna, and the state of Saxony-Anhalt, which supply eastern Germany with fuel. Now, think back, I have spoken about it, that fucking German politicians are busy killing Germany's industry and their people. But they carry on. And then we get this from Viktor Orban, and the poor guy, he's under a hell of a lot of pressure, but I must say he is holding the line. A Europe without nation states, an elite cut off from its national roots, an alliance of multinational lobbies, and a coalition of financial speculators. Let that sink in. Viktor Orban. Brussels wants Europe without nation states, a stateless elite, an alliance of multinational lobbies, and a coalition of financial speculators. The paradise of George Soros. I cannot understand how is it possible that the Europeans are taking this shit. I was under the impression they are of the higher IQ groupings on this earth, but it seems to me they're fucking idiots. Now, more from the EU. Blooming European Burrells Garden. 690 cars burned, 490 people arrested. This is how the French celebrated New Year. Do you know how many cars burned in Russia on New Year's Eve? Good question. And you must go and Google for the answer for yourself. From what I know, none. But this is Burrells Garden. Looks like the jungle is going to be the sole survivors. And then we have this disturbing thing. Welcome to the Islamic State of Germany. German courts ruled that Sharia police are not against the law and can patrol Germany's streets. Sharia police provoke, intimidate, and force their ideology upon others while harassing women, gays, Jews, etc. Meanwhile, Germany supports them. Fuck! Think about what I've just read to you now. Stop the bloody thing and look at it and let it sink in for yourself. What the hell is going on there? And then there's this image, food for thought. That's the yachts in Monaco. Look at those things. And for me, a simple guy sitting here in the bush in South Africa, I'm trying to imagine how much those things really cost. How many lifetimes will I have to work to be able to hitch a ride on that thing, let alone buy it? And then we get to that what a fuck moment, and this is something really hilarious, scary and idiotic, and a clear indication of the fact that the Western world has lost its fucking marbles. Men claiming to be women are inserting frozen tomato paste into themselves to mimic a period. And then this girl says, I bet you $1,000 it's not the first thing that ever went up their asses. What the hell is wrong, people? What is wrong? But in any case, let's be bright and gay. It's impossible for this idiocy to keep on going. The universe is brutal. It never allows things to stay out of balance for too long. And please give me a like and a subscribe and share the thing. And I thank you very much for the support. I really appreciate that. I'm being hammered by people for my views, and I am accused of being a Putin agent and a Russian lover and fuck knows what. The reality is, I bring the other side of the story, and I'm a little one-man show down here in the African bush up against a well-oiled, well-financed, monstrous MSM. But I did not take the shot, so you can trust my observations. I haven't been programmed to believe the mainstream narrative. Have a great day.